Hello folks, welcome to another Darktable Landscapes video. In this one we'll be processing this shot from North Wales, the Fairy Glen it's called, a long exposure, I think, something on the order of 2.5 seconds. Yeah, so a long exposure with a 10-stop ND, and let's get going. So the first thing we'll do is lens correction, just to tweak the odd distortion, and wherever you have very bright areas interacting with very dark areas, you'll probably get chromatic aberration. This is a pretty good lens, so it's handled fairly well, but I will just knock chromatic aberrations on as well, just to neutralize that a little bit. I think exposure itself is fine. If we start pulling exposure around, we're going to quickly lose the sky here. And there are some nice little dappled bits of light. So I'm going to use color balance RGB. And regular viewers will know that this is normally my first port of call after basic adjustments are done, because it's a very versatile module. So let's pull out the shadows first of all. Don't mind there being some shadows. I'm not a complete shadow phobe. You know, where areas are naturally very dark, there will be very dark areas. So, you know, I'm not one for pulling every little last bit of detail out. If it starts to mean that it reduces kind of the mystery, if you like, if you remove everything, display everything rather. So just enough to pull some detail out, and then just drop our highlights a little bit. We drop my shadows a tad more, I think. Yeah, that's okay. Let's boost the global vibrance a fair bit. Let's go about 15%. I'm going to hop up to my 4 ways tab, and let's add some coolness to the shadows. Is another thing I quite regularly do. Just a touch, let's say 2%. So right click any slider to be able to type into it. We can lift our shadows a bit more here with the shadow lift if we want to. That's a bit too strong, that blue. Let's maybe go slightly towards more purple. There we go. Let's have a quick look at the white balance. So that's color calibration. And let's see what the auto does. The auto is a little bit blue for me. That's going the wrong way, as I usually do. Let's kind of maybe draw the auto on there, or on here, a kind of a neutral. Yeah, that's more like it. It's a bit warmer. Grand. And this green is very green. Let's just drop our global vibrance a touch, I think. I'd also like to make it less green and more kind of slightly yellow, I think, slightly more autumnal. So we can do that with another instance of color calibration. So the first one is doing the white balance for us. This one will use our green channel, and we'll use this as a kind of a channel mixer. So I want to take out some green, and then we'll need to compensate for that by adding back into red, blue, or both. So let's go for 0.7, for example. So right click the slider and reduce that to 0.7 by typing it in. And then we need to pull back 3 or 0.3 from one or more of the sliders. So we'll do 0.15 in each. So 0.15 and 0.15. So now we've neutralized our white point, if you like. I think that's probably what it's doing. I don't know the technicalities of it. I'm sure someone will enlighten me in the comments. But it's just taken that really kind of boring summery green and just shifted it to something a bit more interesting for me, without doing anything too crazy and maintaining the variation in the colors. I'd like to darken this water and make it a bit more mysterious. It's kind of a brown PT color at the moment. So let's darken that down. Let's go for another instance of color balance RGB. If I use exposure, it's just going to darken everything, whereas I want to kind of more selectively just darken the dark tones. I could also use a contrast, a tone equalizer, but I'll go for CBRGB. I just prefer it. So we'll go for a drawn and parametric mask. And the first thing we'll do is we'll use the path tool to decide where we want to put our mask. So we'll select the water. I'm being fairly rough because I'm going to use the parametric mask to exclude brighter and midtones. There we go. So drawn and parametric mask combines a drawn mask and parametric, as the name suggests. And parametric sounds kind of very technical, but it basically means a mask based on some parameter of the image, so brightness, color, etc. So we'll use, in this case, the brightness to limit our mask to just the water, the darker parts. So we may catch this dark bit on the rock here where the water's lapped up. That's not too bad, that's fine, we can deal with that. So let's pop our mask on. So this is where the mask is being applied, and we will exclude brighter and midtones by dragging down this right slider. So you can see here it's already starting to exclude the sunlit reflection. And then dragging back softens off. There we go, and we'll feather as well, just to soften the transition in the zones. It's fine. So now we can just drop our shadows to darken that water. There we go. Maybe boost our highlights a touch. Drop our mids a touch. There we go. Yeah, that's better for me. Maybe pull this in here. There's not much water there, it's mostly rock. That's fine. Okay. Let's call this water so we know which is which. Okay. And now let's look at some midtone contrast. So again, we'll use another instance of color balance RGB. And this time we'll use a parametric mask. And we will use the JZ slider, which is another brightness value slider, if you like. And we'll use this to select the midtones by essentially excluding the darkest and the brightest tones. So we'll go for something like that. It's maybe still getting some darks in that we don't want. Give it some feather. Okay. Turn off our preview. And let's just drop the shadows. You want to be very subtle with this, as it's easy to kind of make things very flat when you're only targeting midtones. Yeah, subtle, but a good process, a good edit is the culmination of lots of small adjustments rather than a few huge adjustments that quickly make things look fake. So small and subtle is always the order of the day. So we'll call this one midtones contrast. Okay, now we'll do our usual clarity and texture. So contrast equalizer, and roll the mouse wheel down so that we're affecting the whole line at once, and just drag it up. The more you drag it up, the more clarity you get until it looks absolutely terrible. So as always, less is more. So it's nice. We'll right click for another instance, and then we'll just grab either end, raise that up, and that's roughly analogous to Lightroom's texture slider. Pull down some texture there. We go slightly finer. There we go. I'll just call this texture and clarity. Now let's add a vignette. So I use exposure, right click, use a drawn ellipse. I want quite a central vignette, quite a heavy vignette, but with a lot of feathering, I think, to really add some depth. So let's drop exposure here. I need to flip this around so we're affecting the right side of the mask. There we go. Yeah, you can see how that's added quite a bit of depth already. Let's just feather it a bit more. Just kind of really drawing in the eye to the middle of the image. I don't mind these dark shadows here, that's fine, that's okay. Maybe pull out some more shadows with our color balance RGB adjustment here just to stop it looking too contrasty. And let's have a look at sigmoid. We could probably raise our blacks and give a little bit of a fade as well. It's pretty good. I don't want to reveal too much. I want to leave some mystery in there with our exposure vignette. I think I may have a spot there that needs clearing out. This was next to a stream, obviously. There was obviously water floating around, so let's do a quick retouch as well. So let's do a clone, first of all, with a circle. Roll our mouse wheel to get the size right. Go about there, be slightly bigger. And then we will do a heel. So we'll click again. Slightly bigger feather on that one. And a slightly bigger effect. Just turn those previews off. There we go. You'd never know it was there now. As if by magic. So let's go back to our vignette, exposure 1 here. Check our shape. Let's maybe just pull this down a little bit, I think. Okay. Yeah, that's better, I think. And then finally, we'll just add some sharpening. So we'll use diffuse and sharpen a few times. The first one will be demosaicing sharpening with no AA filter. Use the one that matches your camera. Some cameras have AA filters, anti-aliasing filters, some don't. Now right click here and for another instance, and then we'll go for lens deblur soft. This is a nice sharp lens. It doesn't need too much lens sharpening. And then finally right click and go for local contrast fast. And that's a touch strong for my liking. Whoops, there we go again. Let's go for a uniform mask and just reduce the opacity. Let's say 70%. That's better. Okay. And we may just protect the shadows on this one actually. Let's go rather for a parametric mask and just exclude the shadows. So here we go. Just the deepest shadows. Just feather that as well. And it's not knocking out the detail in the shadows completely by adding too much contrast to them. There we are, more of a subtle effect. Okay, here's our before and after. So we've pulled out a lot of shadow detail. We've added some punch, added some colour, shifted the colours a little bit, which is relatively rare for me, but I think it works in this case. Stops looking too boring. Pulled out a lot of the rock detail as well. So there's our finished image. I hope you like it. As ever, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you on the next one.